Hello, hello, and welcome. My name is Rollence Patugan, and welcome to Pasadena Photography Arts, open show number 37. I would like to recognize the Tongva and the Chumash, who are the native people of these sacred lands that we have come to know as Los Angeles. Black Lives Matter still, stop Asian hate, and my heart goes out to the families who have suffered loss during the current Israeli-Palestinian conflict. If you are a returning attendee, then I thank you for your support. If you are new to OpenShow, then welcome. OpenShow is an international platform that provides emerging and established artists an opportunity to present and discuss projects to a live audience. Our events were formerly held in person at the Armory Center for the Arts in Pasadena, but as of last year, we have transitioned to a live online broadcast, which has allowed us to expand our audience across the country and internationally as well. We have calls for submissions every other month, and if you are interested or know someone who would like to present their work, then please join our mailing list if you have not done so already by heading to our website at pasadenaphotographyarts.org to receive the call for submission notifications in our newsletter. We are Pasadena Photography Arts. I am happy to be one of the advisors for this organization. We are an emerge project under the Fulcrum Arts. We are a not-for-profit, volunteer-based organization. And our mission is to promote diverse photography projects by established and emerging photographers worldwide through in-person and virtual exhibitions. In addition, PPA is committed to sponsoring educational programs by accomplished photography professionals. We'll continue having programming online until further notice. And this is a pretty great way for us to expand our audience. And as I mentioned earlier, we were doing these events on ground in person at the Armory Center of the Arts in Pasadena. But now, you don't have to get in your car and go to Pasadena. You can just, get in your bedroom slippers and walk to your living room or walk to your office or walk to your kitchen and log on and join an evening of art. So that is a great thing. We would like to thank this month's underwriter, which is the Pasadena Arts League. They have been generous to give us some donation to sponsor this show. And if you are interested in sponsoring one of our programs, then please head over to our website. And I highly encourage you to make a contribution. We have two programs, Open Show, which is this evening, showcasing and discussing the work of 4 artists, and the forum where we invite an established guest speaker to share their knowledge and experiences to the community. While both offerings are free to the public, they do cost time and money to run each show. If you are a supporter of the arts and would like to continue seeing these types of programs, then I encourage you to visit our website, pasadenaphotographyarts.org, and click on the donate button to make a contribution. And I know some of you have made some donations already, so I want to thank you for making your donations when you RSVP'd for this evening show. Your support is very significant, and let's help keep PPA free. Aside from our website, you can stay in touch with us on Facebook, Pasadena Photo Arts, and on Instagram at Pasadena Photo Arts as well. Okay, before we begin, a few things here. The audience will remain muted during the entire event. However, if you do have questions, and I highly encourage questions from all of you, please use the chat feature, which some of you have just done so already by checking in, saying hello. You please submit your questions through the chat feature on Zoom. The way this works is that each OpenShow presentation will begin with an initial viewing in silence. And then it'll be followed by looking at the project again, but this time alongside with the artist's narrative. And this is where I get a chance to talk with the artist, and you'll have an opportunity to submit your questions in the chat as well. Okay, with that, let's get this party started, shall we? Our first artist this evening is Hillary Johnson, who will be joining us live from Chicago, Illinois. And I want to take this moment right now to say hi to all my friends in Chi-Town. Hey, what up? Hillary has a background in photojournalism and documentary photography, along with working with multimedia forms of art. Hillary will be an MFA student in photography at Columbia College, Chicago, and a curatorial assistant at the Museum of Contemporary Photography starting this August. That's exciting news. Here is The Waters We Swim In by Hillary Johnson. Please welcome Hillary Johnson.
Thank you, Rollence, and everybody. Hello, thank you so much. It's a real honor to be here this evening. I'm really excited.
Great. Well, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get back into your work here.
So what I wanted to say about these pictures are all actually shown in the order in which they were made. And this one was made a couple of years ago. And the idea for this project had been really arisen from a dream I had some time ago. And I had this kind of vision in my mind. And I met this woman who was on the call on the show with us this evening. So it's exciting to have Christina here. And it was just like the spark of this idea that started so long ago, and then it became something much larger, especially since the bulk of the work was made during the pandemic. and at a time in Chicago when we were locked down and quarantine and curfew, and people were meeting me at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, because many of these pictures are made half an hour before sunrise at the only beach we could get legal access to at the time. And what was really so moving about the whole process is that I didn't set off to make this be a healing project. I just thought my usual process, I realized, is to follow the intuition and then see what the project is. But then people were telling me, oh my gosh, like doing this with you was so healing. It was the first time I've been out of my house. It's the first time I've not had a mask on. And so it became this very profound healing experience. And to be able to hold space for everyone and witness that was really just kind of beyond comparison. It was amazing. It's just been amazing to allow it to grow organically.
Yeah, first I want to thank your muse, Christina, and for joining us on this event as well.
Yeah.
And I'd like to book her for a session so I can be inspired too. Is that possible, Christina? DM me. Slide into my DMs, please. Thank you. I know, but on this, going back to your note, before you even talked about this, and we haven't had this discussion yet. This is actually our first time talking about this together. Looking at these images, I felt this sense of, for me, it was a sense of renewal, like, body of water. I mean, human beings are, physiologically, we are made up mostly of water. And so I'm already gravitating to this work. And at the same time, I particularly personally like, the beach, the ocean. I used to surf in a different life. And so I have this attraction to this already, the nature of these images. But now seeing them, how you pose them and how you're capturing them, besides the renewal, it's for me, it's seeing them, it's like, it really tells us how small of a microcosm we are for the rest of the world. We're literally a drop of water in this whole universe, right? And so this is a sense of renewal, but also like introspection for me, like looking inward. And I noticed, like, for this one, there's like a couple of pieces here where they're actually sort of coming out of the water. They're not floating. And again, it's almost like a second chance, so to speak. It's kind of like cleansing, physically and maybe mentally and soulfully. What do? We take a shower, we take a bath, kind of renew, go on to our next day. And this is kind of feels that way, but on beyond the physical level. And again, I feel these positive vibes with this imagery, even though these are, some of them are dark, right? Like they are like technically dark images, and they're black and white. We don't see like the colors that could give us some other kind of mood, but yet I feel nothing but like this kind of this positivity coming out of these images. And maybe it is possibly because of the time that we were in. Like you said, this was the first time they were able to come outside in public without a mask on, and just to feel what it's like to be alive.
I think what became part of my process working with each person is that I asked each one, now I have a form people fill out, and ask some questions and so forth. But when we meet in the water at any time of day, it's really like a guided meditation that I lead them through. And we talk a great deal about how the water is a liminal space, and that even in certain kinds of painting and other forms of art, notably in some Japanese art, there's this idea that what's beneath the water is in the past, and the surface itself is that liminal space, and what's above the water is what is yet to come. And so I began asking people, what is it that you want to let go of that's not serving you, and really intentionally, energetically letting that go and guiding them through it. And then what is it that they wanted to call in and manifest for themselves? I mean, I really think of my life purpose as an artist and just as a human being is trying to help people heal and become better witnesses to their own evolution, and to be able to consciously, touch those places that are wounded and heal them, and then call on their gifts so that they can be more expansive, more abundant, more grounded, and really live the life that, do the work that they're meant to do, that only they can do. And so it became, as I was researching too, looking into other traditions, spiritual traditions that use water as a place of renewal and rebirth and restoration. And it seems quite natural. And as you say, of course, we're mostly water. And so be able to feel connected that way through the water, and the fact that each time you touch any body of water anywhere, you're also connecting to all the other bodies of water and all the people who share this time and place with us. So it became something really huge and lovely, which just thrills me. And to see people transform is magical.
Completely agree. We got a question in the chat, and I want to remind the audience, please feel free to submit your questions in the chat section. We have a question here from David's iPhone. How did you choose your subjects?
A great question. I began with people I knew. Obviously, Christina was the first one. And then I showed that picture to friends and said, hey, would anyone else like to be in the water with me? Here's what I'm exploring. And it started just with that. And then each person, especially because part of my process is to shoot the pictures, run home, drop them into Lightroom, and send them something immediately, like within an hour or two after we finish, so that they can have the photograph serving as a piece of evidence that they can have in their virtual hands right away. And the emotional piece of that was so powerful that then they would tell their friends and say, hey, I did this amazing thing. You might want to check it out. And then I started sharing them, and they started sharing them on social media. So it began to spread. I can't talk. It began to spread out quite organically that way. And now it's become a global project. I have invitations to go, interestingly, to Israel, to South Africa, to Mexico, to photograph people in the Rio Bravo, families who want to immigrate, and other countries, France, Ireland. So we're really just waiting now for COVID restrictions to lift and so forth. But it's been quite organic. And then sometimes people just have seen them and contacted me, total strangers. So it's been kind of amazing to have that happen.
Congratulations on those invites, and I think this speaks like some universal language here. Without this can cross barriers of culture and language. What we see here, how we interact with this body of water, and I think it's wonderful that you're going to have this opportunity to be able to do this in other countries, and proving that we really are all connected. We really are just human beings. And I think that gets lost, especially what's going on right now with all the civil unrest that's happening in our own country and things that are happening all over the world. And we tend to forget that we are made of this water as well.
Yes,
we have some other comments here. Stephen Sokup, great images. Glad it was black and white to remove all distractions and focus on the people and the story and the light and shadows. Completely agree. I'm a big fan of black and white. Douglas Hill, these images don't seem like photographs if there was no camera involved. I feel like I'm witnessing these people in the act of being there in real time. Exactly. I feel that way. I feel like I'm a witness. That's what it definitely feels like. I'm stopping on this image because this is the second image of your series where the subject is not necessarily floating. I feel like this is like that. He's now let go of what he had on his shoulders, in his mind. It's now in the ocean. He's walking this path of renewal. I get that sense, and the way you composed it, the way it's just a bright white sky, and it's so simple without any distractions, and we're really focusing on subject matter here. I truly get the sense of like a second chance. I feel like he's getting a second chance. Maybe I can get a second chance as well because he's getting one. So Hillary, can you come out to LA so I can get a second chance and give all my friends here a second chance? Because we all need second chances. We seriously all need second chances right now. Come on, right?
Do. I'm ready. I will be happy to come to LA anytime. As I said, it's totally global, and I love the your take on how these appear. And it's very much my intention to have it feel that way, in that sense of interconnection, especially during these times. And there were a few photographs that were made right at the peak of some of the civil unrest that was happening. And so asking the question to people, like, what are the waters you're swimming in, and collecting that audio from them and having those conversations immediately after this experience was incredibly profound. And I just feel very grateful. So it's ongoing. If anybody wants to participate, they can certainly contact me through my website or Instagram. I have a formal invitation, and there's a couple of different threads to this. One is just the project itself, and the other has become like a healing ritual that's an intensive transformation day that we spend together doing meditation and other kind of practices to get someone really into the touch with what's going on with them internally, so that they can then have the photographs that we make and do some deep internal work to heal and do those kind of transformations. So I'd be happy to come anywhere, of course.
That's wonderful. I'm going to group together some of these questions. They're more on like kind of the how to. So like, how did you position yourself to get this point of view? And also, was there any kind of rigging with the camera to waterproof it to get these shots? So, you're not hovering with like a helicopter, right? That wasn't the setup.
No, I have no anti-gravity boots or a little propeller beanie or something. But I initially was just standing in the water, but then I figured I started to bring a ladder. It's like just a small, like 4 or 5 step ladder, and I would kind of jam it in the sand. And then people could also use that to kind of hook their ankles to the some stability, because on certain days it was really, really stormy. I mean, this photo and this day, the water was quite quiet. And I came to actually believe sort of mystically that the water, the lake, or whatever body of water we were in, gave each person what they needed to receive. And maybe that sounds kind of woo-woo, but but it really felt that way. So it was on a ladder. The camera it's a Leica Q2 that I'm using for this. It's not at all. It's not a Q2. It's just a Q. So it's not waterproof. And so there was a lot of me like leaping out of the water to protect it. So no, if anybody has a connection at Leica and they want to give me a waterproof rig. Hey.
Wow, you're surfing without a leash, as they say, or you're going out of the plane without the chute. That's some courage there, holding the camera up there without wanting to drop it. Yeah, so yeah, very brave. So wonderful. So at this time, I want to thank you for coming out and sharing your work with us. If you guys know how to do this, there is the emoji Zoom button. Go ahead and give your heart, your clap, whatever you want to do. Show Hillary some love, some wonderful work. Is there any last words you want to say to the audience? Where can we find more of your work, etc.?
Yeah, sure. It's again, just thank you all for showing up. This is the first time I'm doing something like this, and so I'm grateful for everyone's presence here. And you can find me on Instagram at Hillary Helios, or my website is hillaryjohnsonphoto.com, really simple. There's a contact form if anybody wants to participate. And also I wanted to share that I'm launching a new podcast. I'm still actually working out the name of it, but I'm leaning towards something like the spirit in art. And I'm interviewing primarily women artists, but of all kinds, but not exclusively. So Rollence, I'll invite you to be a guest. I'd love to have you on. But
only if I could be sitting in a body of water while you interview me.
Absolutely. Let's do it. It'll be the first aquatic podcast. I'm ready. So yeah. So thank you all. So
yeah. So do me a favor. Once we're done with you speaking here, go into the chat. Just put your website and your Instagram, so that way people can go in there and get to you. All right. So once again, thank you, Hillary. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
All right. That was wonderful. Really, really well done. Okay. Our next presenter is Joseph Akerman, located in Los Angeles. Joseph has worked in many fields as a photographer, including the last 25 years as a location scout for films and television. Here is 20 views from an internal journey by Joseph Akerman. Please welcome Joseph Akerman.
Thank you, Rollence. Thanks for all the hard work you did putting this together, as they usually say on Monty Python. And now for something completely different. This is a series of images that I intend as a progression of different things that express different aspects of change in our lives. I cover a lot of ground stylistically, from abstraction and minimalism to new topographics and lots of other stuff. Very important source of inspiration for me is Japanese art and philosophy, in particular the concept of wabi-sabi. It's not a simple concept, so forgive me if I try to summarize it here. Nothing is ever perfect or permanent or complete, and it is in there that we find beauty. Most of these reflect that on some level. Rollins, if you go ahead to the first one.
Okay.
So the pandemic, we're moving through it really fast. Nothing is clear. Everything's a bit blurry. We've got our masks on. We're watching around with fearful eyes. We don't know what's coming next. Next. This one is about the quest for equality and social justice. The raised fists are a gesture of power, but also of frustration and rage. In addition, the composition and surface textures are used here to create spatial ambiguity. I like complexity and ambiguity because life is rarely simple or clear cut.
Yeah, and if I could make a comment here, you mentioned like the social justice and being awareness, but it's almost like the erasure of it. Like it's part of it is not even clear, right? And it's like the attempt for it to happen, but yet it's not quite there. So, yeah.
It's a never-ending struggle. I believe it was Dr. King who said, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Right. And the struggle will not be over. This one's pretty simple. I titled this one, Nature Critiques the Free Market. Next. On one level, this is a simple contrast between the demolished building in the foreground and the building in the background, which is under repair, getting a new roof. But the other level is about these showers. Normally, showers are private and intimate and Here they've been ripped open,
Right.
feeling exposed and somewhat vulnerable.
Right out in the open there.
Yeah. Okay, I have a long title for this one. Hidden Secret Temple of the Mysterious Lost K-Rail People of the Pearl River, Louisiana. And it seems like these K-rails were abandoned, like the inhabitants walked away in the middle of dinner. And now it's become like an archaeological ruin. It's all covered in vegetation and weathered and aged. And
Yeah.
so that what we think is permanent may not be. An old gateway, obviously. The house it led to is now long gone, leaving the gate an entrance to nowhere.
And if I could comment here, and I remind the audience to also submit their comments and questions here. This is like the third image, and I know there's more of it in your series, where it seems like you've captured what nature is going to do despite humans' intervention or attempt to intervene. Nature's like, not today, you know, I'm going to go ahead and do this thing anyways, regardless, right? Like, if you look at the previous image, it's like, not today, human, I'm going to still grow, you know? So it's interesting to see how human beings will interact with the earth, but yet still be overcome by it.
Definitely. This is a similar composition to the previous one. This one reminds me a lot of the torii gates at Shinto shrines. And Alta Vista, of course, normally an expression of aspiration, a high view. But here it's all battered and rusting and abandoned. Same kind of thing, but in the desert, it's different. The jungle reclaims everything. In the desert, it just slowly rusts.
Well, I think it's reclaiming it in a different way. It's bringing it back to dust, right? That's kind of eventually what it's trying to do. So it's a different process, but it's the same game, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here it is again. Each of these 9 windows is damaged in a different way, as if each reveals something different about its past. And this is just a decaying old cabinet on my back wall at my house, but no doubt still full of stories. Out in the desert again. This was someone's dream. And whenever I see something like this, I think someone built this. They got up each morning and worked. They hammered each nail. They bled. They sweated. And now they're long gone, but I still feel their dreams in places like this. It's like they're still here. Similar. This is an industrial structure of some unknown purpose. Its pipes are reaching for something, seeking to connect, but they're interrupted. They have been left incomplete. And whatever they used to do is not happening anymore. And again,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
The jungle is taking it back.
Right. I want to kind of talk about you. I went to your website and I looked at your statement on your website, and I'm going to pull a quote from there, and I want you to kind of expand on that and how you attempt to, you know, compose and take pictures, given the fact that you've had 25 plus years of location scouting, a different type of imagery required altogether, how that affected your work in this series. So let me read this quote from your website. Quote, "It seems that once a name, a label can be given to the subject of the photo, then the viewer doesn't need to think about it any longer." If you could expand on that, and I completely agree with that. Once we figure out what it is, we tend to give up and like, oh, that's that thing. But then if we look at something like this, you're trying to figure it out, like what's going on here, you stay and linger longer a little bit. And if you could expand on that and how you've had to maybe change your way of shooting in comparison to 20 plus years of location scouting into this sort of series.
Well, thank you. Sure. Doing location scouts, you want it absolutely clear. You need to present quickly to, directors and producers who have a lot of things on their mind and very little attention span, and they want to see right away, what is this?
Mhm.
And if you show them anything that's a little abstract or something else, it's like, well, what's that a picture of? What is that? Where are we? What is that? Which side of the room are we on? I don't understand.
Right.
And I realized that the really good stuff is the stuff that you have to look at for a while and try to figure it out. And in that process, you try to learn what more is in that image. What can it tell you, about the world, about yourself, etc. So yeah, I like stuff that you can't explain quickly.
Was it difficult for you to sort of kind of change gears? I don't want to say undo and unlearn because that'll always be part of you, but was it difficult for you to shoot this way versus what you were doing for the past 20 some years?
Well, when I was out scouting, I would always throw, it's just a reaction that my eye has to stuff that I see, and I would always take pictures of it. And so it's actually kind of grown out of it, and that I see fairly quickly when I was just driving down a highway and I saw this. Also in Louisiana, somebody may have said they
Right.
recognize Louisiana, and it's just like instantly stop the car, grab the camera, get out, just like scouting. It's like, okay, there's something they're going to want to see, except this is something I want to see. So in a way, the process is the same. It's just the aesthetic is completely different. And what makes me stop the car and get out with the camera is completely different.
Right.
So this one, these vines are all dead or dormant, but incongruously, they still seem to require electrical power.
Yeah, I think they need to get internet access or something, I'm sure.
Exactly. Yeah, they're logging on right now. I think they're watching. So this is like each of these paths is evidence of someone's existence. This diaspora of lines, everybody walking somewhere on their journey, and this is what's left. This is what we see the next day until the tide comes in.
Right. And it kind of, it resets. Yeah.
Exactly so. This is an imaginary landscape titled, it's shaped or misshaped by colliding unseen forces. I call it tortured land. It's not land, and it's one of those, this is an exact example of something that once you hear what it really is, it loses its mystery and magic.
Oh, so yeah, let's not reveal what it is. Let's let the audience just make up their own story, and let's not, it's whatever you think it is. And I want you to stay in that world, audience. Yeah. For me, if anyone's a Joy Division fan, it reminds me of that album cover. So that's what I'm getting from this. It's black and white, a lot of texture. But it's uncertainty too. But yeah, it's really interesting.
This is, the light coming across the ripples, which look like they're in black glass. It's water, of course, but it's almost solid here. It becomes sculptural.
Yeah, definitely. So, and the way you fill the frame where we don't see anything else, kind of, it just forces you to be in this, wherever this location is. It could even be, based out of, it could be ethereal, it could be just something out of your imagination.
Yeah, for sure. Fairly obvious, but something that's decaying and no longer used. And here's this bright green new life being reborn out of this old concrete. So this is the rebirth. This one for me is kind of climate change. I mean, the banana leaves are being whipped by strong winds, and the camera flash has kind of frozen them. For me, it's a cold winter storm back there that you can kind of see, and it's like simultaneously Arctic and tropical. So, title on this one is Extent of Reach. I'm using color, tone, and texture to create an indeterminate space. What is in front, what is in behind. And then if you look close, you can see kind of skeletal finger marks on one edge. And it's like, were they climbing up or out?
Haunting a little bit there.
What is that? I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah. I got a question here from Jennifer Emery. Was that conscious theme putting these together, nature taking over a quote? Many of the images really speaks to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's sort of an essential element of wabi sabi. Nothing is permanent. We strive, we build towers, we build mountains, great cities. Sooner or later, the waves wash it away. I don't really have any comment on this. I think it's pretty universal.
For me, it's almost like I feel like it's like a portal to some other world. You got this end of this room, which is a different color altogether. It's got this blue tone, and then just before it is this very bright light that's sort of a frame. I feel like I'm crossing this frame. I'm going to enter some other dimension. That's what I feel like. But the thing is, this isn't anything foreign for us. We've seen this hallway many times in a hotel or office building, which may look like a hotel here. But then, presenting it here in this particular series, and you have everything darkened in the foreground, and it's leading us to this light here, kind of makes it look a little. It's even kind of even cinematic for me as well. I have that feeling when I see this image.
And in this image, which is the last of the series, is actually from scouting.
Yeah. Okay. And so did they like this one, or this wasn't too abstract for them, was it?
Well, it's borderline. It was for something where the director really wanted to see cinematic images from the scouting. So it's like, taking the weights off and letting me go.
Oh, okay.
I was able to run at my own speed. So yeah, this is a favorite of mine. Whether this is passage from this life to another, or from one reality to another. But yeah.
Wonderful. That's great. I got some comments here in the chat section here. Let's see. From Stephen Sokup, that's the best one. The Blue Heavens Gate 1. Great. Peter Kurt D, especially with the green plant growing out of the dull cinder block wall. And Hillary Johnson, very cinematic. I definitely agree. Well, thank you very much, Joseph Akerman. Any last words for the audience? Any upcoming projects? Anything you want to say?
Thank you so much again, Rollence, and thanks to everybody at Pasadena Photography Arts. I would ask you humbly to follow me on Instagram. I'll post that in a moment, and visit my website. I put up 4 new shows every year at the change of the seasons. Another group of 20 or 25 or so. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next presenter is coming to us from our very own backyard in Pasadena. Elwira Miezal is a multifaceted artist who has had many years of experience working with photographers. And now she has stepped behind the camera herself to present this new work. Here is Goma Women, Democratic Republic of Congo by Elwira Miezal. Please welcome Elwira Miezal.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Rollence, for the introduction. And thank you, everyone who showed up tonight to support me in this. I'm really humbled and honored by this experience. This is very first time that I'm showing my work and very first time that I photographed on my own. So this is a really beautiful experience for me. Thank you so, so much. All of the photographs that you will see today come in 3 series. They all present women from the area of Goma, which is Eastern Congo. It's right by the border of Rwanda. The very first series that you see it right now that Rollence is presenting is they show women from Pansy Foundation during rehabilitation class of trauma release dance. Pansy Foundation is a supportive place for women who are victims of sexual violence. And in several countries in Africa, including DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, rape is widely used as a weapon of war against women, men, and children. I was deeply moved by this experience and the visit at the Pansy Foundation, hearing the stories from women of different age. Most of them were raped in front of their husbands, children, together with their sisters and mothers. Some of the women, there was a woman who shared a story with me. She was raped for 24 hours nonstop. She lost her consciousness. So it was a really profound experience for me. And these women, they suffered twice. So Pansy Foundation helped these women to transition to after the rape. A lot of them have to go through severe surgeries to reconstruct their organs, and and they suffered twice, not once from the act itself, and then from social discrimination when they need to return to their homes. So it's really moving experience. These images on they intentionally are not showing faces of the woman to protect the identity. And as we will be slowly moving to the next 2 next two series. They show women from the villages, and the next one will be women in cities by their homes. It wasn't a very easy experience to photograph in Congo. People are very shy, very offended by photography. So for me to make a connection with all these women was also another level of opening myself and opening my heart and allowing this woman to trust me. So I connected with them on a really beautiful level and communicated with this like universal language that it's truly our hearts, and all of a sudden, like nothing exists. Like we don't see the differences in our skin color, religion, political status. So it was really beautiful. And what was very inspiring for me from the moment I landed in Goma was the clothing of the woman, probably the most colorful thing in entire like area. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of sadness. So just seeing this woman dressed up in those beautiful fabrics was really beautiful for me to capture. This is the next series of portraits. I was lucky enough to make connection with very few women who allowed me to take photos of them. And all these shots are photographed by their homes, in front of their homes. Yes, you can see on some of the faces, you see all the emotions coming out, and seriousness and trust and sadness.
I want to make a comment if I can at this point. I first of all, wow. I mean, the work that we saw earlier at the rehabilitation center, just amazing, and just the ethereal kind of imagery, how there's sort of soft focus, kind of silhouetted, just in the colors really gave some sort of feeling with the imagery. And I want to make a comment about here is that, you're photographing them with, I see, despite what's happening to these women in Goma, you are giving them dignity. You're giving them strength. You're spotlighting them in this way, that they don't always have to be victims, right? They can be whoever they want to be, at least how you're portraying them here. And I just want to make that comment. And I think it's strong. They're just not victims anymore.
Oh, Rollence, thank you so much for mentioning that and able to see it in those photographs, because that's exactly how I felt. And even afterwards, after taking a picture, when I shared the images on my phone with them, on my camera, I could see the joy coming out of them, that they got a little bit of attention, that somebody saw a beauty in them. And so, yeah, I feel like the image can change your life if you allow it, even if it's for a moment.
Yes. Yes, very, very powerful. I got to ask this as a photographer. I mean, how difficult was it, especially going to the rehab center, for you to be able to implant yourself and just be a fly in the wall? What were the challenges? I mean, for you to gain, obviously to gain your trust, or gain their trust on you.
So the trip to Panzi Foundation was something that was organized for me. I was there together with 4 other people that were men, and I was the only one woman photographer. And I don't know, it was just something really magical that happened between me and those women on a level of, like, they could relate to me so much as I could relate to them. Like I could feel what they're going through, and they probably also could sense my compassion towards them. So there was this like beautiful connection that happened actually right away, and just giving them a little bit of attention. I photographed a lot of portraits of these women that I'm not allowing to share. I had to sign a legal release for that. But yeah, it just was this beautiful woman to woman connection.
Yeah, and I love the style that you photograph them in. It's this very ethereal, dreamlike state, but yet
Mm,
I don't know, intimate also as well.
mhm.
Yeah, I feel that in this imagery, and I think it's just wonderfully
Thank
shown.
you. I named the series "There is Light in the Darkness," and
Yes.
I wanted to the darkness that these women are going through at this moment when they dance and they release. They there's also light, you know, coming into their life and moving forward.
I'm going to take a look at some of these comments here. Just wonderful. All just praise for your work there, Elle. It's wonderful, and for someone who's just stepping in front of the behind the camera for the first time, you know, don't let her fool you. She's been working with photographers for many years. I've actually had the opportunity to work with her. She's a stylist, so I had to actually hire her also. And when I saw her submit for the open call, I was so excited because I'm like, oh my God, she's shooting now. At the same time, like, wait, she's shooting now? Oh man, I gotta compete with this woman now. She's already got the vision of composition, and now she's gonna step behind the camera. But so happy for you that you were able to submit the work and share this wonderful experience that you had at the DRC with us today.
Yes, thank you so much. This is like such a beautiful invitation for me to grab the camera and photograph more. I was always passionate about photography and admire photographers and love working with photographers, including you, Roland. So it's always beautiful. And I love creating images, and there's such an incredible intimacy that I experience through that tool.
Thank you so much. Let's show some love for Elvira. Go ahead and put those heart emojis and clapping hands. That's such an amazing work. And again, thank you for your courage and bravery. And I want to thank the women also there as well for allowing themselves to be vulnerable yet again to like somebody else. And this time it was a photographer to document what's happening over there. So thank you again. Is there any last words for your audience? Anything that they can see from you new or anything to do with this project? Please let us know.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all these beautiful comments. I'm really happy. If you would like to see what I do daily, you can follow me on Instagram. I share my creative work at Miezal. And when you log in on my main profile, there's also a link to my other account where I show my pottery. I do sculptural work from clay. I love to play with my hands. So if you're interested, you can check it out. And yes, thank you so much for your attention.
Yeah, and yeah, go ahead and put your information in the chat. And yeah, she's also, on top of everything else, she's also a ceramicist. Geez. all love, Elle. Just so proud of you. And thank you again for
Thank you. Thank you so much for all this yumminess. Thanks.
Okay. The final project we will be viewing tonight is Transformation by Lara Solanki. Lara will be joining us from Eagle Rock, which is, if you're not familiar, a northeastern neighborhood of Los Angeles, and also home to some of my favorite places to buy Filipino baked goods. Look it up, people. Eagle Rock, Filipino baked goods. do a Google image search. It will blow your mind. You'll probably want to go eat something now. So we'll maybe do that after the presentation. All right. Laura is a unit stills photographer for film and television. So we have another connection here with the film and television industry. Here is Transformation by Lara Solanki. Please welcome Lara Solanki.
Hi, thanks, Rollence. Thank you so much. I have to say, I'm already transformed just from this open show and seeing everyone else's images. It's really amazing.
Right? I mean,
it's very cool to see. Yeah, it was very cool to see just all the different themes and everything. So
I'm going to go ahead and start your presentation one more time here. Okay.
So this was a series, like anything, it starts with a little idea and then it kind of blossoms into something else. It transforms into something bigger. It started with just this idea of me wanting to just capture the concept of emergence and coming from the earth and our connection to the earth. And I thought clay and mud. And so the one thing that all these images have in common is that our skin is covered in mud. And so I just loved capturing this texture and this real tactile kind of visual element to it. And essentially, these are kind of like portraits of emotions. I asked my subjects to embody certain emotions. I kind of told them, I gave them a concept to embody and to imagine and to kind of embrace. And yeah, and they just did it so beautifully. It was almost too easy to do this.
You don't want to say that, Laura. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's difficult, right? It's difficult to do this stuff, right?
Yes, it is difficult. Yeah, and so the transformation for me, I mean, I was transformed just from doing this whole process, and because it's always about the process, right? So, and then with this image right here, I really just loved that I didn't know what she was thinking at the time. She was just giving this to me, and then later I found out that you know, she was thinking about her dad passing, and it was just so really amazing that she could give that to me. And that's where the trust between your subject and photographer is really important.
I'm sorry. I do sense like a sense of loss here for sure. I mean, yeah, the posture and just even looking away from the camera a little bit, definitely sense that.
Definitely. Yeah, and again, for me, it's so much about the process and the creative process. Sometimes, you know, you can only plan so much, and so much happens kind of instinctually, kind of spontaneously. And so I didn't actually direct her to do this. It's just that she was doing this and I saw something, and I could feel what was happening, and so many emotions, started bubbling up within me, and I knew I had to just kind of capture these moments. And yeah, and for this one, for me, there's just such a peace there, and I love just the journey that my subjects go through when I ask them to kind of go through certain to think about certain things.
I feel like, if I can interrupt, I feel like it's, imagine, artists of antiquity creating sculptures of human beings, and they may have given them a direction of some sort of emotion. Your series is sort of like, what if those sculptures came to life with that emotion, and you're there to capture it. That kind of
Yes,
what I
I
see.
do. I love sculptures, and I did. There was kind of a theme of wanting to kind of create living sculptures, so as if they were kind of sculpted from the earth. And I wanted to have. I didn't want them to be so stiff and solid. I wanted them to have like movement and just have that ethereal kind of essence about them.
I get a sense of, it's interesting. This theme of this show was change, but I think this theme of this show could have easily been like rebirth, a healing,
Mm-hmm.
second chances, because we have, with Hillary's work, it was sort of a healing process. And then with Joseph's work, it was the earth kind of healing, taking taking things back from our interference of the earth. Then Elvira's work, again, sort of healing, second chance, a rebirth. And this right here is sort of the same kind of vibe that I'm getting as well. It's interesting how that worked out, that, the theme again was change. And yeah, these are all dealing with change, but we ended up looking somewhere in the positive side of change. And I think that's a good thing. We got to keep moving forward, and thinking change is going to be a positive thing.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure, rebirth. But in a way, yeah, I mean, all rebirth is a form of transformation in some way. Um, I love the vulnerability and kind of softness that she is here. Um, yeah, and this, and so this one was the very first shoot I did with this concept, and I just loved her look. She's also a makeup artist, and I had worked with her, and I just said, hey, you have such a cool look, and I wanted to photograph her in this concept. So, and I just love the sculptural and quality of it. I think.
Can you tell us again what substance material were you using for your subjects?
Yeah, I did a lot of research because I knew I wanted to use clay and kind of like a mud, but I didn't want to just grab dirt from the ground, especially in LA. LA's dirty. So I researched. I ended up finding spa mud, like mud masks that you do, for if you want to do like a spa day at home. So it was a plus because it had the best, gave really good texture when it dried, and then it allowed them to have really soft skin afterwards.
Oh, okay. So are you saying now, have a spa day with Lara, but then I'm going to make you go through this internal journey while you put on the mud on your face, and I'll capture it? Is that kind of your direction?
Yeah, I mean, I had a different description for them.
Right.
So some of these are self-portraits, and I added a little extra element, which is this fabric. For me, I've always had this theme of lifting the veil in my life and in some of my other work, and it's really just kind of grabbing hold of your own life and your own perspective. No longer, living life under the veil of what someone else's perspective. Just kind of choosing your own way of seeing things. And this image was on my Instagram, and I kind of told the story of what happened to this, which was I shot this in early 2019, and I had a prevision of what I really wanted it to look like, and it just wasn't that when I finished the shoot, and I put it away, and I just never looked at it again until a year later when we were under quarantine during the pandemic, and I decided to revisit the images, and I saw this one, I thought, all right, it's not, I don't even remember what I was thinking when I shot it, what I was looking at it, but I ended up connecting with this one. And I thought it was ironic because all it took was time for me to see it differently. And of course, the ultimate transformation, which is pregnancy. So this is me back in December, the day before I gave birth.
Wow. And yeah, tell us about this experience of this ultimate transformation out of all times to have an ultimate transformation. Tell us, if you could, expand on that in this past year.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I wasn't ever planning on this series to be ending with a pregnancy photo, but I think this image kind of puts it all together. It's the emotional journey of pregnancy, of deciding to have a baby, deciding, you want to bring life into this world, and all the pains and joys that kind of come with it. Having had 2 miscarriages myself, there's the emotions, the transformation of what it really does for you physically, mentally, and emotionally.
I want to just check in with the chat comments here. A lot of amazing, like comments here, commenting on your work. Gonzo, wow, speechless. Gia Trovella, beautiful work. Love your portrait series, very expressive and daring. Hillary Johnson, these are amazing. Gonzo again, saw the rebirth on all these images. I'm trying to find a question here. Another comment. Jennifer Emery, Laura, having seen some of this work before, I love the transformation and progression of the project as it has evolved and into the last pregnancy photo. I feel that leaves us with this project continuing growing with more photos ongoing for years, maybe one after pregnancy.
Definitely, yeah. This is definitely an ongoing series. I definitely want to continue capturing the portrait of different emotions, using the same concept with clay and mud, and connecting with with nature. So maybe I might try to do it with someone mentioned something about the backdrop, and most of them were shot against a seamless, and so maybe my next ongoing projects will be more environmental.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah. Yes. And again, all the comments, really wonderful, amazing work from everyone coming in there. That's really great. I want to thank Lara Solanki for coming out here and sharing this work. Thank you so much. Give her some love, show those heart emojis and clapping of hands. Laura, I want to ask you if you have any last words, if you want to tell the audience where they could find you, any other projects, please share with that.
My Instagram is just at Lara Solanki. My website is larasolanki.com. I definitely have ideas for future projects. They're still brewing and transforming in my mind. So stay tuned for that.
Great. Thank you so much. And please do put that information in the chat as well. Well, this has been, if I can put you on mute there, Laura, we can hear your keyboard.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you all so much for attending tonight's event. I want to thank all the artists, Hillary Johnson, Joseph Akerman, Elwira Miezal, and Lara Solanki for their time and for the dedication to their work. It allows us to imagine and be inspired along with them. And I want to thank my Pasadena Photography Arts family, all the advisors who are on this call. Thank you, Ellen, Alexi, Derek, Douglas. Thanks so much for backing us up this evening. We've come to my favorite part of every open show when I host it. It is whiskey time for me anyways. But don't worry, I ain't driving home because I am home.
Okay,
But
I gotta interrupt here. Because Rollence next month is going to be our forum speaker. So, woohoo, right? So thank you everyone for coming tonight. We are so excited to have him share his work with us and all of you. And I also want to share that we are so excited that you come here monthly to be with us. And we're grateful for your donations. They are definitely making an impact and helping us sustain these programs. So please join us because Rollence is very special and we get to learn more about him next month.
And the link is in the chat for RSVPing for this event.
Thank you so much. And if you want to continue supporting these types of programs, please support us. Go to pasadenaphotographyarts.org, make a donation, make a contribution. And for me, this is, if you guys attend to that forum event, I'll explain how I got here. So stay tuned for that. But thank you again, all. Grab a cocktail and I'm gonna say salud. Thank you. Have a good night.